As you've probably heard the news, Eddie Van Halen passed away a few days ago. And he was an amazing player, had quite a huge effect on guitar as a whole. And I kind of want to just make a video about the one Kramer I own in honor of Eddie Van Halen. So, this is my 1982 Kramer Duke. It is an aluminum necked monstrosity. I absolutely adore playing this thing. It's fun. Oh God, this is the one thing I don't like about it, is that the strap buttons suck. I need to fix that at some point, sometime soon. I bought this almost a year ago. It's 30-inch scale. It's got an aluminum neck, and this is the less common grip model. And it was the cheaper one. This is a DiMarzio Model G. The regular ones had a Schaller, or the deluxe model had a Schaller Double J, and those are more common. And they also had the Schaller roller bridge. This one's just got like a standard bent sheet metal with threaded saddles. It's a bridge. It doesn't really matter. Mine's got you can tell the difference because this one's got a top output instead of a side. There's nothing along the side here. But this thing is made in USA. It's 24 frets, which a bit weird for me considering my main bass is this thing. Oop, that's the ceiling. This thing right here, a shell pink Fender Mustang with only 19. But this thing's, that's my acoustic. This thing is fun to play. I can't give a sound demo right now because it's 4 in the morning and people in the house are sleeping. But I wanted to just kind of talk about the history of this thing a little bit. This was produced in the early 80s, and it was to use up old parts. That's all these things were intended to do. They had a bunch of aluminum necks hanging around from the 70s, and those weren't selling at all. And they had the bodies. They still had the 8-string bodies, and those weren't selling either. So they just kind of went whook, 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 and put a 30-inch scale fretboard on it. So this neck is exactly, like if you measure from here to here, it's like exactly from like 1st fret to 20th fret on like a P bass neck. I'll get a photo of that if I can and put it up here. But that's that. And the earlier ones, mine's a later one. This is an 82. They had the 2-bolt neck plate, and that's how you can tell if it was one of the 8 strings that they had cut down, if it had the 2-bolt neck. And those screwed directly into the aluminum. This one screws into the wood. Because this neck isn't entirely aluminum. It's basically like a T shape, and then you got bits of wood along the side. But it's all painted over, so you can't see it, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, this thing was kind of intended to compete with the Steinberger XL2, I think it is, or L2, or whatever it is. The one that Geddy Lee played in the 80s. This thing is a little better though. It's got guitar tuners on this end. Just some Schallers or Shalers. Just regular old guitar tuners. And then it hooks up at the nut here. Well, there's no nut, there's a 0 fret. And then they just kind of hook into here. And there you can see the aluminum. They just kind of hook into there. And you just tune it up to pitch. And I have no idea if you're going to hear that, but yeah. These strings are dead, by the way. I haven't changed them. I put some lighter ones on it. But ebonol fretboard, 30-inch scale, and just a real unique bass. You don't really see these around. Especially this model, as I said, it's the rare standard model that is a little more basic, a little more stripped down, which I like. I bought one of the reasons I decided to get that Picasso bass is I put the bridge humbucker, and I want to compare it with the guitar fetish to this DiMarzio. They don't make this pickup anymore, and probably for a good reason. But I think it sounds pretty good, especially with overdrive. The aluminum neck is just adds a sound to all its own. Like debate about tone what all you want, but I feel like if your strings are vibrating across most of this neck, it's going to pick up something from it. It's going to color the sound somehow. And the aluminum sounds different from like carbon fiber. I've played a modulus with EMGs. I hated how that thing sounded. It played great, but it sounded like dog shit. This thing is just all passive. It's got this hot DiMarzio and a solid aluminum neck. No truss rod. You can't adjust this neck at all. You don't need to. You could stand on this thing and it'll be fine. That's aluminum. The new aluminum necks, like if you get like an Aleph Guitars, an electrical guitar company, an Illuminati, a Robot Graves, Belugi, one of those brands, they don't have truss rods either. You don't need one. This one, at least, trying to look like a real neck, even though it's aluminum, because it's got the ebonol fretboard. And that's kind of as it was, because Kramer worked with Travis Bean initially, and he offshoot and started working on his own aluminum necked basses, and you got like the DMZ and the 8-string, the XL8 I think it is, and then you have the various guitar models I don't know. But yeah, so this thing started off as like the Fender Swinger, I think it is. It's the weird like Mustang sort of deal with the scoop cut out of the bottom that used up all the short scale necks. It was just a way to use parts, and it shows. They're rare basses now. They're not worth anything. Nobody wants them. I bought this one for $400 back in December. They've climbed up to like 500, maybe 600 now, but still, that's just because the aluminum neck. Nobody really cares about like the nitty gritty of this stuff like I do, because weird gear is my kind of specialty. I say as I was holding up a shell pink Mustang earlier. But yeah, that's my Kramer. My one Kramer is the Duke, this boat paddle that honestly weighs a lot. It's like, let's see, this is, I know this is 9 pounds. This thing here, this is 9 pounds. This is heavier. This is about like 10. And it's like a much smaller bass. But that's just that aluminum. Whew. But I think another reason why these things failed is the neck profile. I can kind of set you down it. This thing's chunky. This is like a big 70s neck profile. And this came out in the early 80s with all the shredders. Yeah, there's no wonder this thing couldn't compete in a land where thin as fuck guitar necks existed. But yeah, I'll give you a sound demo when it's not 4 in the morning and people in the house are sleeping. But yeah, guitar tuners work surprisingly well. That was like one of my things I was hesitant about. There are some quirks, like there's a first fret inlay, which is always weird on like dot inlays. For like, if you got like block inlays, like this Squire 6, it makes kind of sense with like block inlays, but dot inlays, it's always looked a little weird. And I'm not used to having all these frets. I'm like playing something and I'm like, keep going. It hurts to be this hip. But yeah, that's this. That's my Kramer in honor of Eddie Van Halen. Figured I'd finally get this video I've been sitting on for a while done. Yeah. I'm gonna do some videos on this thing later. I need to switch the knobs off because this speed knob does not want to stay on. It's incredibly loose, and I don't like the speed knobs anyways. And put some stickers on it because I'm keeping this thing. But yeah, I bought this as a case of wanting to get two birds stoned at once and try out a headless bass and to try out an aluminum neck bass. And I figured, this thing is malaligned. It's weird, it's funky. I like weird and funky. Let's give it a try. And I bought this with my Christmas bonus last year. And it's held up. And the case it has is weird. It's in my closet right now. I don't want to go grab it. But it's just like real narrow. It's like two guitar necks kind of like put together pretty much. And like a weird, like it's kind of funky. And like, to give you an idea of like the whole size of this thing, this is a Fender P-bass neck over here. This was the neck off of my first bass that I replaced. So that's tip to tail. Oop. Lines up with the bridge. Just to give you an idea of kind of the size. Just a Fender neck. But yeah, that's that. I'll splice in the audio recording of this now. It's been a few weeks since I last tried recording anything about this. It's the first chance I've had alone with my amp. I'm playing loud. I got my Kramer Duke. I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to put all of my knobs except for my drive at noon. I'm playing through an Aguilar Tonehammer 500. I was playing an active bass before, which that D. Armand there I bought for $125, and I think that's putting a little damper on the sound. Oh yeah, there we go. So this is that DiMarzio Model G aluminum necked monster. I'm not going to be able to get my fat ass and all this in here, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. I have my gain at about noon. Drive is clear, but I'm going to turn my treble up a little bit because this thing sucks your treble. Let me turn my gain down a little more. So gain's at about 9 o'clock. This is a pick. It's just pushing the speaker clean. Pretty much clean. It's got gain, no drive. Doesn't help that I have dead ass strings on this thing. Also, this thing is incredibly awkward to play sitting down without a strap like up here. But yeah, so sounds pretty good clean. Let's turn on my drive. Drive at about noon. Likes to fart. It sounds good. I like it. Turn the tone knob down. This is what it sounds like. squawky without the tone knob on. I want to keep going sometimes, like there's more neck out there somehow when it just ends here. Because I'm used to the headstock stopping me, but I just keep going. Let me pick up the pick because this thing likes the pick better. Drive, why don't we? That was noon. Let's go 3 o'clock. Oh! That's what I like about this pickup, is that it can clean up just by how hard you play. It's very dynamic. Like if you, it drives and farts out, but on the same setting. So if you have a gentle touch, you're not getting the most out of this pickup. This thing is gnarly and it wants to be just let loose with distortion and gain. And I'm going to give it more gain. Gain at noon. Ooh, hell yeah. This thing loves game. So let's turn the tone off and just go all out. Let's tone off. That's tone off. Tone on. Also, I should mention my amp is on, like, what is that? 10 o'clock? No, not even. It's at like 8 o'clock. It's like not even. It's barely on, and this thing is loud. But yeah, why don't they make this? Why doesn't DeMarzio make this pickup anymore? The Model G. Is it microphonic? No, not microphonic. Yeah, this thing sounds gnarly! that's the sound of the Kramer Duke. Aluminum-necked monster with the DiMarzio Model G. Just your standard bent fender saddles and dead-ass strings.